Several days ago, someone asked me a question. He asked me, Mark, how do I utilize my 20s? And I told myself, wow, a wonderful question. How do you utilize this period from 20 to 30 years? According to me, this is the most wasted age. People are out there going to clubs, people are out there wasting time, people are out there, watching videos that do not add value to them, people are out there doing nothing, people are out there oversleeping. So I told myself that today I have to do a video telling the people who are in their 20s how to best utilize that age, because the age between 20 and 30 is the age that determines whether you move forward in life or you stagnate. If you can start something in your 20s, if you can start having all these good habits in your 20s, in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s and your 60s, you can move ahead in life, because it has been proved that the people who start in their 20s always ahead of their peers. This is the period where your energy is very high, your mind is very sharp and all these things. We are going to divide this video into two: things that you can do in your early 20s, that means from 20 to 25, and things that you can do in your late 20s, that means from 25 to 30, that are going to guarantee that at the age of 30 you're financially free, settled in life, and you are ready to take off. The first thing you can do at the age of 20 to 25, this is what we are calling the early 20s, is do what we call community service. Everybody who is great started with community service. Community service is where you volunteer to serve in a community-based organization, your church, in any NGO, things that deal with people, things that deal with the community. This is where you learn how people think, how people talk, how people do things, why people do what they do, how to be selfless, solve problems that people are facing, consumer behavior, interpersonal skills, how to deal with people. You learn all these other things. So at the age of 20, you should start doing community service, start serving people. This is where you develop the mindset of being selfless, because the moment you become selfish in life, you're thinking just about you, yourself, your family and all that, then you become poor. Like for me, I volunteered in a local community-based organization. The second thing you can do in your early 20s is to get sales skills. Let me tell you the truth. All successful people have been sales people at one time or the other. The sales skills help you to develop persuasion and influence. And this is what leadership is about. This is what business is about. This is what politics is about. Everything is about persuasion. Everything is about influence. If you cannot influence people, you cannot be a leader. If you cannot persuade people, you cannot be in business. So in your early 20s, can you make sure that you get into sales? You're not doing sales for money. You're not doing sales as a career. You're doing sales to be taught how to get what you want in life, how to let people give you their money in exchange for something, how to tell people about the features and the benefits of a certain product and persuade them how to handle objections and how to close deals. This is how people get rich. This is why all the big CEOs started as salespeople. It doesn't matter where you are. You might be a doctor, you might be an engineer, you might be a lawyer, but always make sure that you get into sales. At least 6 months of sales is good. These sales companies have very good training. They train you how to present yourself, how to talk to people, how to handle objections, how to get money from people. This is very paramount in your early 20s. Point number 3, get what we call practical skills. I'm not talking about knowledge. I'm talking about skills. Things that you can do with your hands. Things like coding. You can get photography skills. You can get video editing skills. You can get skills in graphic design. You can get skills in Excel. Get something that you can do with your hand. At this period in your early 20s, can you get as many as you can? Do not confine yourself to one thing. Some skills may not take you forward, but those skills will be important when you're doing your own business. When you are laid off at work, it is these skills that help you survive. You can become a freelancer and you can be able to earn money from that. This can also form part of your side hustle. The fourth thing you should do in your early 20s is to develop routines. These are rituals. These are habits that you do on a daily basis. In your early 20s, can you develop the routine of waking up at a certain time, sleeping at a certain time, doing a certain thing in the morning? For me, when I wake up, the first thing I do is to pray. So I tell God that I know that this will be the best day of my life. The next thing I do is to wake up, go to YouTube and listen to something educational, something motivating, something that is going to hype my day, something that is going to make me feel better. That is what I do when I wake up. Of course, I take my breakfast and rush to work. Can you develop something for yourself? In the evening, I do visualization like for 10 minutes. Like I visualize my goals, I meditate, I read the Bible in the evening, I listen to some more educational materials, and these are routines that you're talking about. Point number 5, the fifth thing you can do in your early 20s is to get a job. Make sure you get a job in your early 20s. This is where you start depending on yourself. This is where you start learning. This is where you start working for someone. This is where you start being mentored by someone. This is where you get out of your parents' house. This is where you start living alone, because when you start living alone, then you're preparing yourself to live with someone else. Start making yourself happy. Start making yourself a priority. When you get a job, make sure you are sorting your bills. That period is going to develop your sense of responsibility, and that period is going to give you some money. When you get a job, can you make sure you are saving? Do not just get a job and consume everything. Now, let's go to phase 2 of this topic. Point number 6. These are things that you can do in your late 20s. The first thing you can do in your late 20s is to start a business or an investment. This is where you start something on the side. This is where you learn how to lose, how to gain, you learn how to invest, you learn how to take risks. This is where you learn how to be persistent, how not to quit. This is where you learn basic business, structures, basic business processes, basic, consumer behavior. This is where you start shaping up your entrepreneurial mindset. You learn how to think like an entrepreneur, like a founder, like an inventor, like an innovator. You learn how to be creative and all these things. You can start a business in your area of expertise. For example, if you're an engineer, you can start an engineering business. Even if it's a small business, can you make sure you start something? You can start buying real estate. Start practicing how to invest. Start practicing how to get involved in the stock market. Point number 7. The second thing that you ought to do in your late 20s is to get excellent at something. This is what we call becoming an expert. Remember that in your early 20s, we said that you should get as many skills as possible. Now, in your late 20s, this is where you narrow down. You start becoming an expert at something. This is where you start developing excellence at what you do. Become known for one thing. For example, Tiger Woods is known for one thing. What? Golf. Miles Monroe was known for one thing. Purpose and leadership. John Maxwell is known for one thing. Barack Obama is known for one thing. Politics. Great people are known for one thing. So can you now narrow down? By now you know the skills that you do best. You know the skills that you love. You know the skills that bring money to you. So you can narrow down and focus and become an expert at it. Point number 8. This is the third thing you should do in your late 20s. Get in debt. That is controversial, but you have to put it anyway. Debt is very, very important. Debt is a leverage. You should learn how to use debt. Learn how to differentiate between bad debt and good debt, because good debt acts as a leverage. It acts as a catalyst to your success and your financial progress. Bad debt can bring you stress, depression, failure, and all those things. Can you learn how to use good debt? Learn how to use other people's money. So this is where you borrow a loan and you learn how to repay it on time. It's going to build your credit worthiness. Your credit score is going to go high, so that in your 30s you can be able to utilize the loans in full to build yourself up. Point number 9. The fourth thing you should do in your late 20s is to advance your education. If you have a bachelor's degree, make sure you have enrolled for your master's. If you have a master's degree, make sure you have enrolled for your PhD. Even if you never went to college, you never went to university, this is the time for you to go to college or university and get a higher education. This you should do in your late 20s, because by now you know what you want in life. You know the field you want to be in, you know your area of expertise, you know your area of purpose, and you know your area of gifting and all these things. Based on all this, you can determine the course you want to take when you advance your education, and that will be important. Point number 10. The last thing you can do in your late 20s is to get financially free and settle down. Make sure you get financially free. By the time you are 30, make sure you are depending on yourself. Make sure you don't need external factors or external parties. You don't need your parents, you don't need the bank, you don't need your employer, you don't need anyone else to survive. You can survive on your own. Even if they fire you from your job, can you make sure that you can survive on your own? Because this is what we call financial freedom. Financial freedom is where you can be able to afford things without stress. You can be able to afford a good car. You can be able to afford a good house. You can be able to afford a good vacation. You can be able to afford basic needs. You can be able to pay rent comfortably. You can be able to help other people and make sure that you settle down. Settle down in marriage. Find someone to marry. Even God said it is not good for man to be alone. So if you do those 10 things in your 20s, the 5 in your early 20s and 5 in your late 20s, then by the time you turn 30, you're going to be financially free, you're going to be settled, you're going to be skillful, you're going to be an expert, and you're supposed to have a sense of purpose. So guys, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and make sure you comment and share it with your friends. See you next time.